Hello everyone, welcome to LondonR. I will give it a minute and I will get going. But while we're waiting for people to join the call, it'd be really good to let me know where you're joining us this afternoon. We're hosting a slightly shorter LondonR today. I'm going to do an introduction and then a recap of the EARL conference that was a couple of weeks ago. And then we have two presentations from Thomas and Jeremy. I will get into that in a minute. Just let people join. Okay, I'm going to get going. Hopefully some more people will be joining us in a moment. Quick introduction. My name is Laura Swales. I am the Events and Community Manager at Mango Solutions. It was just my 4-year Mangoversary actually the other day. And yeah, a big part of my role is organising events like this and the EARL conference and other community events for the data science community, which I will come on to in a minute. So a little bit about Mango. We were formed in 2002, and then we were acquired by a larger company called Ascent in 2020. So really that's kind of broadened out the kind of stuff that we can do. Before we were primarily in a data science consultancy, but now with Ascent, we can look at kind of digital transformation as a whole, software, data, platform and services. So yeah, definitely take a look at our website or the ascent.io website to see the kind of work that we do. We're based in Chippenham, Bristol, London. We've also now got offices in Bulgaria and Malta. And really about Mango, we want to empower organizations to make informed decisions using data science and advanced analytics. And like I said, we organize a range of data science events, much like this one. I just want to give a shout out to the Nhs R Conference, which is a really brilliant event. It's not, it's open to everybody. It's not just NHS people. This year it's taking place from the 1st to the 10th of November. Mango Solutions, we're hosting 2 of the workshops within the conference. We're doing a data visualization workshop and reporting tools in R. And also Julia Silgi from our studio is one of the keynote speakers. We had her, I think, in 2018 at EARL, and she's just absolutely fantastic. All of the feedback I get from every single event is, can we have Julia Silgi, please? So be sure to check her out, take a picture of this slide, and have a look at the Eventbrite page for more information and how you can join. We are running a competition at the moment. We launched this to celebrate EARL taking place in September. The competition is to win a free online training course. You could win either Introduction to R for Analytics or Introduction to Python for Analytics. And the prize will be awarded to whoever enters and up to 9 of their colleagues. So it's people entering from within a company, not just people by themselves. And there's a whole full terms and conditions on the website. And the entries for this close tomorrow at midnight. So if you'd like to enter, you're interested, be sure to do that today or tomorrow. Again, take a picture of this slide, go on the Mango Solutions blog to find out more information and the entry process. It's a short form, just finding about your kind of data science skills, capabilities, gaps, all of those kind of things. So it's not super long, you can do it in a in a few minutes. But yeah, definitely worth entering, and yeah, that closes tomorrow, so be sure to check that out. And then I wanted to move on to some EARL highlights. EARL, if you don't know, is an annual conference that we host and organise ourselves. EARL stands for Enterprise Applications of the R Language. We're normally in the Tower Hotel in London for 3 days. Once a year in September, we have a day of workshops, and then we have 2 days full of presentations from people from a real wide host of industries, and letting you know how they use R in their everyday work life. And for the past 2 years, we've taken online while COVID's been going on, and I'll let you know about the 2022 plans in a minute. But I just wanted to go over a couple of the highlights from the conference that took place. It was a couple of weeks ago now. So we started off the day with Branka. Branka's from the NATS, and she's been there since 2018 and is currently the Director of Analytics there. So it was really interesting to hear from her personal experience, working her way up in her career, and how she gets her teams to work together, and how she helps her team upskill, which included a data science escape room, which was really interesting. And she also had some really fantastic visualizations of how COVID affected flights. So that was, really brilliant. And then, as we were talking about the NHS earlier, Chris Bealey from the NHS gave us a really brilliant talk about the NHS community. He told us how the community started, how it's been built up every single year. The conference has just gone from strength to strength. The numbers just grow every single year. So it was really great to hear firsthand about that. And, we all know how great and supportive our community is, but it was great to really see this in action. So yeah, that was a brilliant talk. And then we had Amit talking about network analysis. It was great. It was an interesting topic, and the way that Amit presented it felt really accessible to those who perhaps didn't know much on the subject. So that was another really kind of brilliant and interesting talk. And then we had a talk from Emily Reeder from Capital One about how to make packages part of your team. And it was great to hear from Emily about the choices she made, her use of code, and how internal R packages can, drive a lot of value for organizations, as opposed to open source packages, which thrive in increasing abstraction. So that was a really interesting talk to hear about. And then at the end of the day, we closed with another brilliant keynote. I mean, one of the good things about being online is that we can get speakers from America and all over the place. So Jacqueline Knowles joined us from Saturn Cloud. Many of you might have seen her talk at our studio conference last year. And she shared with us about taking risks in your career. So it was, again, really interesting to hear from someone sharing of how they've progressed in their career and how it's okay to take risks, and the benefits and the negatives of that, and learning from each of the things that she did. So again, that was a really interesting talk. And then EARL 2022. I am fingers crossed that we can be back in person in London. I just went to my first in-person event last week. I went to Big Data London, which is a free event, and we were sponsoring and exhibiting there. And people were just so happy to be back, networking face-to-face, actually talking to people, not doing on the screen all the time. So I am tentatively hopeful that we'll be back in person. So pencil on the dates, 6th to the 8th of September 2022. And fingers crossed, I've got a very, very exciting keynote to announce at some point. And the abstracts for this will open up in January. So keep an eye on our @EARLConf Twitter, follow us, join the mailing list for all the news on that. But yeah, January is when we're going to start announcing things for EARL. And then LondonR. Tentatively, I'm hopeful that I might host an in-person event in November. So again, keep an eye out on our social for that. But if you'd like to present at some point, please drop me an email, take a picture of this slide, and send me an email at the address listed there. And I'm hopeful that we can do something in November. And then moving on to tonight, we have two great presenters. We have Thomas Heid, who will be presenting on enable the customer for insights into their data by automated reports. And then we have Jeremy Horn, who will be presenting on building an engaging email marketing campaign using R. Just a couple of housekeeping things for you. This session is being recorded and it'll be put up on YouTube hopefully tomorrow. And also there's a slight delay from when I speak to when you hear it. So if you have any questions for the speakers, please just pop it in the Q&A tab as we go, and then I can read them out to them at the end. And yeah, if you're enjoying the session today, please give us a tweet, #LondonR and @MangoTheCat. It'd be really great to hear from you all. So, right, I am now going to bring on Thomas, and then hopefully in a second he can share his camera and his microphone.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me? See me?
I can hear you. I can't see you just yet. There we go. I can see you now. Perfect.
So, welcome. Nice that I can give this talk here, even if I'm not seeing the London Tower. When I'm looking out of my window, I'm only seeing the next telecommunication tower. So perhaps next time we will see in person, as Laura told us. But let's see, and let us use this chance to see what I can present to you. And so let's directly dive into my presentation. I think you are seeing my screen now.
Yeah, all good.
And this is the title of my talk, is Enable the Customer for Insights into their Data by Automated Reports. Though in this talk, I will tell you how we with Astrum IT make reports automated, so that the customer can focus on their technical strengths in their own domain and do not have to make these reports once and once again. So let's see what I will tell you in detail. First, I show you the pipeline from the data to the stage where they present the results. I will not focus in data wrangling, only the steps to make charts, and out of these charts, the reports. After that, when I sketch this pipeline, I show you the use cases, what I learned from customers, what they want to do, and then a bit more detailed view on the used technologies we are using here, what kind of R packages, what kind of surrounding technology we have to use to get the best benefits for our customers. First, I wanted also to introduce myself. You already saw me. It's a picture. In my background, I'm a physicist. I did a lot of in astroparticle physics with CAME3net. It was a neutrino astronomy experiment. But now, since 2017, I'm working as a consultant for Astrum IT. Astrum IT is located at Erlangen in Germany. It's near Nuremberg. It's a more common town in Germany, which could be known. And my focus is around business intelligence and process optimization. So as I said, also this talk is fully my focus to enable people to optimize their way from getting data to presenting it somewhere, or to get insights into the data, make progress in their innovation in their companies. And there, on the left and right bottom, you see the main technologies I'm using. R, of course, that's why I'm here in LondonR meetup, and Python, also some of my skills. In the middle, to get all this information to enable your customers, you need to talk to them, and for that we have to do a lot of workshops, make some mirroring and shadowing of the employees of your customers. That is also what I'm almost likes the most at my work, to get the requirements they need, and then I can tell them what we can do for them. A bit more about the company, only 2 slides here. It's a mid-sized company with 150 employees, always located in Germany, along Munich and Augsburg. And what our focuses are, starting from the IT consultant, where we get the requirements, but we also have software engineering colleagues which can directly implement software on a very high quality. Also in medical area, we can play with our strengths. Software products, so you can also host our solutions by our own. You get here some 360-degree roundup for your solutions, which we can do, and we can support our customers with their digital transformations, where I would say I'm the starting point for seeing what is needed in this company and how we can help, like for making automated reports like we have here in this talk. Now here, starting into the topic of the talk, we have here an overview of packages from R, what we are using, so that you can already see what we will face here. On the left side, we start with some data wrangling. As I said, I won't focus on that. Here's some filtering, collecting it in the basket, and then some data pipeline with some source, illumination, hammering for data. It should be some different, but for the image, I think it's fine. Then we have to make some images, some tables to show to some interested people who want to look at data. There, I mainly use ggplot, flex table, and this RVG package to make vector graphics. Finally, we will see that I'm focusing on 2 output formats. First, PowerPoint presentations and HTML dashboards. There we have 2 different packages, which we will see in detail later. The Officer package for PowerPoint presentations to create them, and then our Markdown to create HTML reports on a very handy way, I would say. Then go into deeper and ask our customers what they want to have. See on the top right, someone who is talking about his presentation and his data, what he achieved in his daily work. He wants to report to decision makers so that they can say, yes, this product is very fine. We will produce that. So reporting to decision makers was one of our customers' requests. That's why we make PowerPoint presentations. So for decision makers, PowerPoint is a nice to have feature, I would say. And while the daily work of the experts in their domains, they want to dig deeper in their data and see some insights and make the progress in development visible. It's always nice to have different output formats like the PowerPoint I told you, and also HTML previews to have it directly on some web pages where the customer can always work. If customers working on SharePoint, there we can directly pop up some reports made in HTML. If you want to have some high quality graphs, it's nice to have some customizable graphs. And the final goal of each customer, I would say, even if the customer often forget that, they want to learn from the old stuff for new innovations to make faster cars, faster shoes, faster bicycles, or whatever you are producing. Here is what I can offer to our customers. I will offer and show you high quality graphs like the one on the top right. Pre-customized presentations. We will see later how to arrange PowerPoint presentations in advance and then fill it with graphs. And also afterwards, you can customize it. The GGG plots, which we produce on the way to the presentations, are reusable, will be reusable, like you see on the bottom right. And of course, the left bottom, you can choose go home earlier at the evening or spend more time on specialized tasks what you are paid for. I don't think that most domain experts are paid for making some presentations. Now let's dig deeper in the pipeline architecture. Here, what I want to make here with the charts is that I can reuse them all the time. I want to produce them once and then use them for the PowerPoint and the HTML process. That's why I have a dedicated stage, the second one here on the bottom, with ggplot and flex tables who produce graphs, and then they are on their own objects. You can save them in some RDS files and then take them and use the dedicated packages for creating PowerPoint and HTML. Here, Flex Dashboard and R Markdown are used. In that way, it's very modular, and we will see later here that also the customer can help us to make these ggplots, for example. R Markdown, some words for that. It's intended to make reusable documents. You can have code inside, and there are many plugins or other packages so that you can have multiple output formats like PDF and HTML. On top of that, you can make this Flex Dashboard, which has a nice interface to more advanced HTML components like the HTML widgets. And for designing, it's very easy to have this aligned with columns and rows as you would know it from other web development. And for us, it's very important to have tabs available. Let's see here some piece of code. The Flex Dashboard is a R Markdown document. Here on the top, you see some header which defines a title and the output format. Like here's the Flex Dashboard orientation is some kind of definition for how you can fill in components into this dashboard. Then below you can see the style sheets which can be inserted with here a common style sheet for this HTML report so that everything looks fine and the styles are centered at one place. You see here also on line 14 that we are using a package structure around our creating of the reports, called reports for web. Then down more starting from line 19, you see also a sidebar which makes you able that on the, for example, on the left side there is a sidebar which is always visible, and on the right side you could make some tabs and see different kinds of agglomeration of data plots. To make it work, or this R Markdown, to make it to an HTML report, you have to use some functions. Like here, starting from the line 62, there is a main function that there is a render functionality. Putting it somewhere, that's the first argument in the template. That's it. A pass to the template. In the template directory, you have to choose a template. What's more interesting here, it's in line 68, the output format that I have here. Also once more defined that it should be a Flex Dashboard, so that Markdown knows what to do. Now let's see here how we decided to build the charts. We have a chart repository that you can imagine that is a collection of functions with a predefined input, like a data frame with parameters in especially it's a long table, and then the function has to deal with it and put out a graph. And that is what I say, a customer can also do that for me. I don't have to make these charts on my own. And then these charts are taken into the chart engine, sitting in the middle of this page. And then the data comes from somewhere, putting into that machine, rumbling around, and then the ready-to-use charts are coming out of that machine. We see a very easy repository of charts, which is only a collection of functions, which then could be used by the chart engine, and we have a collection of charts at the end. See what we have as next. Here I wanted to make some highlights on what I think it's interesting for you. I wanted to tell. I told you that I use Flex Table to create charts, in fact, tables. And inside, you can also use images inside your tables, not only numbers, text, you can also use images, and that is done by this function, which you can find at line 129 as image, where you see this source, let's say the column name is a file path in the end, and then we define some width and height of this chart, and we see here the nice blue bars, which say in fact if that is a very high value or low value in this context. But caution, as we see later, the PowerPoint doesn't use these images, then you have to add them once more. Now let's go to these PowerPoint presentations. Here, rough and at the end, the R code will print the presentation. As you see on the lower part there, you have these printed ones. Slides. So let's look into the master slides. Here on the left, we see all master slides, some title page, some other title page if you want to use it. And here some predefined dashboard pages here with one placeholder, here with some more detailed view with 4 and on the top some report card. Here we will place a table. And let's look here for these names. Here on the top in the home ribbon of my Microsoft PowerPoint, you have this select, then the selection pane. And here you have the name. If you press here, you can rename it. And these names here are very important to fill your presentation with Officer. Let's see one more picture. Here is the same, except that here is a predefined picture also inside this template. So gets for here in line 22, you see that that we select a page from the master collection, which is called compression testing.
Thomas, sorry, just to interrupt you. I think we're having some internet problems today. I can't, no one else can see your presentation anymore. It's just gone completely blank.
Okay, perhaps I have to stop share and
maybe have a stop and start. Sorry, everybody. It's we've never had any problems before, but I feel like today is the day. Oh, there we go. It says it's loading for me. There we go. I can see it, and everyone else will be able to see it in a couple of seconds. Cool. Thanks, Thomas.
Okay. Sorry for this interruption. Perhaps today that's the day to have the interruptions. Here, as I am on the last, when I'm showing you PowerPoint, you saw the master slides, which here on line 22, we have this compression testing, which is one dedicated slide of this master slides. And then on the next slide, you have this pH label, which is the name of the placeholder in your PowerPoint template. And this is filled with the charts for templates, compression testing. Behind that, it is a GG plot. And then it's on the last line, 27, you print this presentation to some target path. Of course, in line 18, you see some more slides which we inserted in advance, which I want to show you in detail. Here we have a ready presentation. I simply inserted it in this presentation. So see, you can reuse the slides. Like here. Here's the customized title page. And then we see here the filled slide with a table on the top, which is made with flex table, and at the bottom with some graphs done with ggplot. Here, this more bigger slide with compression testing on a big show of the chart. There are two methods to make charts with R, I would say, in this context. First, you can use the RVG package I used here for vector graphics, or you use MS charts, which can make charts as you would have it in your presentation when you directly start from a PowerPoint presentation, inserting data directly in this presentation. That's here in the table with some differences. I would say, and comment on that, it's more professional looking for me with this GG plot. The data is fixed, you cannot change it anymore if there is printed into your presentation. Instead of MS chart, you could change your data. With RVG, I have this chance to externally generate some charts. And on the other side, you can use PowerPoint functionalities. And what I want to have in mind when I'm generating graphs in my pipeline is always to use them somewhere else, not only to use them for the presentation. And that's why I'm very for this RVG package. And also what you have, it's a vector graphic, and it's also, you can change everything inside the presentation. Every number, every bar can be entered, change the color, change the size, and so on. Then advanced in filling the PowerPoint. As I said, the images are not taken into account by Officer, and that's why we calculate in the top box of the and then on the correct position in the image, and then we fix this drawback of flex table to don't be able to put the images into PowerPoint. So let's go further. Here back to the slide and go further. At the end, to summarize, I want to give a small recap of this presentation. I think we should always keep the customer in focus. to make some suggestions to them what they should do. And we prepared charts for the reports down on the second stage. The charts can be used by the customer for other purposes. They can be exported as ggplot objects or objects. They can import it to their own script. They do some magic. They can change these plots as they want. The PowerPoint reports, as we see, you not only be able to change the PowerPoint afterwards, but also these templates I showed you on some slides. The customer can prepare these templates for me so that I can insert them into the pipeline. They can make some nice text around them, make images in my presentation with this compressing tests. And of course, the arrangement of different charts can be made by the customer itself, like he wants to have it. And this last part, which I showed, was that I can also the reports via web browser when I'm using the Flex dashboard, in combination with R Markdown, which then is an HTML file, which I can publish on a web page. Expertise. And if you have any questions, I'm sure we have some minutes to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. I think we've been a little bit blighted by bad internet today, but we're pushing through. I think it's okay. So yeah, if you have any questions, if you missed most of the talk, maybe you can say what was it about. So yeah, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A section now. Gary asked, what key benefits do the recipients of the reports highlight to you, and how much time is automating the reports saving you?
What could you please repeat?
Sure. What key benefits do the recipients of the reports highlight to you, and how much time is automating the reports saving you?
Yeah, the key benefits of which is reflected by the customers are in fact the time saving, as in the past they have to copy and paste all the graphs out of Excel into PowerPoint. In Excel they made a lot of this VBA scripts, and in total, as the customer reports us, into total there I have to also keep in mind this all data collection when they making some material tests on their machine, putting all the data together. They always say that what they did in the past in 1 week, now they do in half a day. And to make a guess for what this actually report generation makes of benefit, I would also say it's instead of 2 days fiddling around with some graphs and making, that is now done in 1 or 2 hours.
Okay. Another question: have you ever tried HTML5 slides built using Markdown instead of PowerPoint?
Yes, I'm using HTML slides via the R Markdown with a Flex dashboard, and that is also a very nice feature, I would say, and so there you can also insert some more interactiveness, especially when using Flex Dashboard. There with this HTML widgets you could use. You can also make some sliders I saw. And this tabbing, would say, is also very nice for us to have one context. For example, when you make some tests, the first topic is somewhat general tests like weight, height, and width, and the other are more compression testing. Then we divide it into several tabs. And so you have on one tab, one topic which you can refer on and to think about. Yeah, so yes, HTML is an output we use very regularly. Also, it's very easy to share this one. The person you want to share to only needs an browser, not some other like PowerPoint, even if it's very, very widespread.
Okay, great. I think that comes to the end of all the questions. So thank you again so much, Thomas, for joining us today. And yeah, hope you have a great rest of the day.
Okay, thank you for being here.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Thomas. Yeah, apologies if we're having a bit of internet connection. I feel like, Thomas wasn't even in the UK, but apparently everyone in the world is having difficult internet today. So we will, we'll try our best to see what happens. Unfortunately, it is physically out of my control. If we're in person, then I could make a magic fix, but we will see. Jeremy was having some internet troubles, but we will see. So I'm just going to bring Jeremy on stage, and hopefully he'll be able to share his microphone and camera in a second.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Can everybody see me all right?
Yep, loud and clear.
That's good, right? I have moved rooms since I was having issues with the Wi-Fi. Today, presenting at a conference, great day for OpenReach to turn up outside my house and dig the road up. And the council are also doing the same, so it's also quite noisy. I live on a main road. So hopefully, bear with me, hopefully we'll manage to get through the next half an hour or so. I'm sitting in just currently at my spare room, which is just literally not kitted out for a presentation, but hopefully we'll be all right. So I'm just going to share my screen. So hopefully you can see a blue window.
Nothing yet. There we go. It's just loading. Yep, all good.
Excellent. So yeah, hopefully we'll manage to get through all of this without any hiccups, jumps, or Wi-Fi jumping out. I did have a call earlier on today where I lost connection 3 times on the call. So I don't know a lot about what's happening in the world of data at the moment. So hopefully we'll manage to get through this. Thanks very much, Laura. Thanks for hosting, and thanks for having me again at LondonR. For those of you that went to EARL, not this year, not the conference we just had a few weeks ago, but last year, this may be a familiar talk to you. I gave it at EARL last year. But do enjoy it again, because I'm sure it was really, really enjoyable last year, and you can enjoy it again today at LondonR. The insights are still obviously exactly the same, so no spoilers in the chat. I know this isn't an episode of EastEnders where we're going to have like major storylines that you could reveal, but no spoilers, just sit and enjoy the talk for a second time. So I'm going to talk about building an engaging email marketing campaign using R. Just a little bit about me, first of all. For those of you that don't know me, I have presented at EARL 4 times now. So not only this presentation you're about to see today, I presented all the way back in 2016, talking about real-time media campaigns in R, trying to predict demand for cough and cold products. We had an excellent model with error rates that shouldn't be sniffed at. And yes, the rest of my jokes are that bad as well. In 2018, I spoke about unlocking CRM value with R, so talking about how you can use R to find out which dormant customers on your database are most likely to be resurrected and start buying products again. And then I spoke about my experience of building data science teams using R in 2019. And obviously last year, the talk that you're about to see over the next few minutes. I'm a data scientist and strategist, so I started my own consultancy, Data Cove, almost a year ago. It's almost our first birthday now. Had to think of some lovely first birthday presents, maybe akin to maybe not a mango cat, we'll have to a Data Cove dog, D&D, who knows, but never mind. So we've nearly celebrated our first birthday. We're working with people to try and help them make their data problems go away. I'll talk more about that in a second. I'm also the co-organizer of LondonR, so Brighton's premier, okay, probably only our user group, with this wonderful hex that you can see on my slide over here. Lovely hex of Brighton Pier with a few seagulls on top of it, doing what they do best. You could probably tell by now, if you haven't met me before, you can probably tell even in the first 2 minutes that I love R quite a bit. I haven't got one of my R t-shirts on today. I have got a mathematical based t-shirt on, but you probably can't see that because of the angle of the camera. I love cricket. I could talk to you all day about the Cricket R package, which connects to the Cricinfo API, and is a brilliant handy tool to have when you're watching the Ashes, so that you can download any stat on any player within a matter of seconds and even graph it to have a look at what their average looks like. I won't sit here and talk about that now. And I do love a beer, and in fact, that's one of the things I'm really missing about sitting here on my own without an audience, apart from these two lovely friends here. They're mango cats, if you haven't seen them before. They both belong to my son. Laura's going to hate the fact both the ribbons have been taken off, but he got them when he was 2, and they were a little bit of a choke hazard. So off they came, I'm afraid. I have about 10 ribbonless mango cats in this house. But yeah, I do love a beer, so I'm very much looking forward to in-person LondonR coming back again. Just a little bit about Data Cove and what we do, and I promise I won't bore you with company pitches and creds and all that for most of the talk, but just for a couple of minutes, just to talk about what we do. This is our mission statement. So we help people get smarter with data, basically. And that could be any form of data. So it might just be something simple like setting up a strategy, to more complex problems like analyzing their customer data to understand who their customers are, who they should be targeting, how they should be doing it through email marketing, which we'll talk about more in a moment, and automating processes. So obviously Thomas's talk before was brilliant, talking about how you can automate reports. We do a lot of that as well. In fact, we do a lot of things, and this is sort of the broad cross-section of everything that we do. So I've spoken about customer data strategy. That might be helping people that have literally no data. So brands that have no data on their customers and want to start collecting it. How should they do it? What should they collect? How should they store it? What database should they build? Very, very simple things probably to a lot of people that are sitting on the call today, but very daunting for brands that haven't really explored data before. And then at the other end, there might be people with lots of data, almost too much data to know what to deal with. So we help them shape a strategy around that. We can also help them analyze it. So we do a lot of work in customer database analytics, again, helping understand who our clients' customers are, what constitutes high value, who they should be targeting, how they should be targeting them. We do a lot of work with email marketing and optimizing the email that sits behind a lot of that marketing activity. And we'll talk about that throughout the duration of the afternoon. We do a lot of when we say reporting and measurement, that might be a very simple dashboard. You've run a marketing campaign last week. What's going on? How many people have viewed that campaign? How many people have bought from that campaign? To more complex measurement problems. So we've built a lot of econometric models, particularly over the last few months. I found there's a real big demand for people wanting to delve deeper into their marketing activities through econometrics. And I'm having more econometric conversations now than I probably ever thought I would do when I started Data Cove, mainly because I didn't think I was going to offer econometrics, but too many people ask for it. It's too popular. We do training. So training and coaching, either teams or on an individual basis. A lot of that around R or just working with data science techniques. And we do a lot of work around web analytics as well. So auditing people's Google Analytics, trying to help them set it up in a better way, being able to track what their customers do. And a lot of that feeds back into the customer analytics work. And just some of the highlights recently. So we heard Thomas talk before about automating reporting. We've actually saved one of our clients half an FTE this year by automating, I think, 4 or 5 of their internal reports now. And it just means that person who was spending time literally playing with data in Excel spreadsheets can now do more work on business innovation techniques. I've spoken about econometrics before. We've built a lot of econometric models this year. I think one of the ones that I found most staggering was when we looked at some of the overspends. Econometrics tells you really what is the optimal budget that you should be allocating to each marketing channel. So how much to spend on TV, how much to spend on search, on digital. And we found a 100 100K overspend per month that was projected for the next 12 months within the econometric model. So if you start thinking about that, these models can add up to millions of pounds worth of saved marketing budget or budget that you can deploy somewhere else. And we've also helped brands with segmentation models. We've got a 20% sales increase for a brand recently just by segmenting and understanding their customers a little bit better. Anyway, enough about me, enough about my company. You want to hear about R, you want to hear about email marketing. But what is email marketing? Because I'm sure that most people here are kind of aware of what it is, but what does it really mean? Well, you've probably all been hit by email marketing at some point today. You probably got an email before this event from Mango telling you to make sure that you come and attend LondonR and about all their wonderful training courses that you can go on and book. I'm sure Laura will thank me for the plug later on for that one. But you might have even got an email today about concert tickets or theatre tickets. Now that we can go to these in-person events again, we can actually get out and about and do things. Everyone wants to try and bring people in, bring people back into the old normal, the real world. And so email marketing now is probably sort of hotter than it was, definitely hotter than it was during lockdown last year. And this is where brands will send you emails to promote their brand, promote their business, or promote something that they sell. And email marketing is great. And the reason email marketing is great is because you can contact all of your customers within seconds just by the click of one button. And that means that email marketing is really cheap. Using some stats, I've got some stats from Info Management and Campaign Monitor here. It costs less than a penny to send an email in the UK. If you think about the fact that you could have a marketing list of 10,000 people, you write one email, that goes out to all of them by clicking one button. How much time, how much effort has that taken you? So it's really cheap. But because it's really cheap, it's really hard. This isn't like, say, standing out in the street and doing a little bit of PR and talking about your brand and getting people to sign up there and then. It is really hard because you send someone an email and email is really easy to ignore. It's a lot easier to ignore than pretty much any other form of media. And so the average email open rate in the UK is down at just 17.5%. So that an open rate, again, just for people that aren't too familiar with email marketing, is just somebody opening your email. They might not do anything with it. They might just open it. They might read a few words in it. What you want people to do is click on your email, click on a link, click on the link to go and buy a product, click on a link to sign up to your mailing list. But only 2.4% of people do that. And just to add a bit of context, if you send 1,000 emails, that means that only 24 of them are going to be clicked on. Now that click link might even be the unsubscribe link. It might not even be the purchase link. It might not be the sign up link. So if you've got 24 clicks and only some of them are on the buy link, it's really hard to be able to get email marketing to sing for yourself as a brand because it's really hard to get people to go and purchase and do what you want them to do. And so quite often I get the question, well, how can I make my emails more engaging? And to talk about that, I want to talk about a case study. So for those of you that have heard me talk at our events before, you'll know that I talk about my son a heck of a lot. My son is probably one of the youngest advocates of the R environment. There he is at 10 days old. He's just done his first pipe operator. I am convinced that my son is the only child that at 2 went on a play date and asked his friend if he knew about dplyr and the pipe operator, which prompted my wife to have to talk about R for 5 minutes, which she absolutely hated. But we'll get her on at LondonR one day. She can do it again. But anyway, my son, who is now 5, he's using R a little bit more regularly. He can sit and do things and put in functions and operators. Yes, he really can. I'll talk to you later about how to teach R to 5-year-olds. But the reason I've got a picture of my son here is not just to show a cute baby picture or anything like that, but it's because the case study I want to walk through actually concerns a childcare brand. So that rather than have a random stock image of a child, let's use an image of my child, my R protege, who's probably going to be using ggplot 10 when he starts using R in full flow in business once he's graduated from school or university or whatever. So we're looking at childcare brands and we're trying to think about, okay, how do we make our email marketing campaign more engaging? Well, let's start to think about what we can control. So if you send an email, you can't control what happens at the other end. You can't literally be holding someone's hand and make them open it and make them buy your product and make them click on your email or a bit of your email. You can't make them do that. But you can control things from your end. You can control a few things. So you can control when you send that email. So do I send it on a Monday, on a Tuesday? Do I send it early in the morning, late in the evening? And what do I put in that email? What do I tell them about my product? What do I tell them about my brand? You can obviously control lots and lots of other things, like the address that you send it from, the reply address. There's lots of other things you can control, but I want to focus on these two. And the reason I want to focus on these two is because you can optimize them both using R, believe it or not. I mean, you can use R for absolutely everything. I still haven't made a cup of tea with R yet, but I am working on it. So you can use R for everything. Let's talk about the timing briefly. Let's think about the best time to send an email. There's two ways we can control timing. I touched upon them before. So we can control what time of day we send an email. So do we want to catch people early in the morning before work? Do we want to catch them at lunchtime? Do we want to catch them at the end of the day? Do we want to reach them at bedtime? What's the best time to send somebody an email? And then what's the best day of the week to send it to them? Do we want to do it on a Monday when they might have their work head on, they've just finished the weekend, they're focused for the week ahead? Do we want to do it on a Friday when they're a bit tired? Do we want to do it over the weekend when they might have their eye on other things? But those are two big things we can control with timing. But how do we do that using R? Well, R is brilliant because, of course, R can connect to pretty much any API you want out there. A lot of you that are working with customer data will work with Salesforce, and you've got the Salesforce R package which can help you connect R to Salesforce to be able to download your CRM data, specifically your email data. If you're not using Salesforce, it's not game over. HTTR and JSONLite are brilliant packages together that allow you to connect to other APIs as well that don't have the pre-built R connector yet. So great, you've connected to your database. Well, what do you do next? Well, naturally, you're looking at email data. So you've got to extract all of the email sends that you've made, but crucially, all of the opens and the clicks. It's the clicks that are crucial. We want to understand what have we sent people and what have they opened. And there's a big call out here because once you've extracted that information, be careful because some databases, some CRMs might not be in your local time zone. So I'll give you an example of a brand I worked with a while ago. Now, I'm really sad when I work with brands. If I want to help them optimize that email journey, I want to feel part of that email journey. So I sign up to it. I sign up to their mailing list. I get all of their emails. Now, that sounds a bit crazy, a bit obsessive, but actually it's really useful. Because when you download all of this send and click data, you can start to have a look at your own data. Yeah, that is a bit creepy as well, starting to look at yourself within a database. But what I saw is that I was opening a lot of emails on this database at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. As much as I love R, as much as I love my email account, I'm usually safely tucked up in bed at 3 or 4 in the morning. And it turned out that all of the data that I've been given was in a US time zone when I'm dealing with UK data. And so thinking about that, if I'd have said to the brand, well, actually, yeah, 3 or 4 in the morning is the best time to send emails, having not pushed that time forward by 5 hours, they would have started to build a completely different brand strategy and completely the wrong brand strategy. So be careful with CRM data because time zones can be problematic. And then I started looking, okay, let's summarize this by hour, by weekday to understand when is the best day and time to send emails. Now, every brand is different. So I am not saying now that you should go and send your emails on a Monday between 3 and 6 p.m. and you are going to get the best possible click rates. But for childcare products, this kind of makes sense. If you think about childcare, you've just had the weekend with the kids at home. During the week, they might be at nursery, they might even be at school. So you're not thinking as much about childcare and products and dealing with the screaming angry child all the time. But guess what? On a Monday, that first day of the week, when you're back to kind of this weekly routine, you're thinking about what can I do? What can I do to make next weekend better? So Monday was the best day to contact individuals, in this case, parents of children. And the best time to do it was between 3 and 6 in the afternoon. Now, again, intuitively, that probably sounds about right. So on a Monday morning, it's all about let's get them off to school and nursery, let's get to work. At this time, you're picking them up from school and nursery and all hell breaks loose again. So what can I do to make my life better? So for this brand, sending an email on Monday between 3 and 6 p.m. was going to give them the best possible response, the best possible click rate. So the other thing that I spoke about before was content. What content can we put in your email? And you can see the image here, choose your words. And that's really important, because if you think about what you're putting into an email, this isn't a thesis. This isn't your end of year, end of school project, university project where you have to write 20,000 words. You've got a really short space of time to capture people's imagination, to catch them, to make them engage, to make them want to buy your product. And there's a lot you can do with words. There's a lot to think about even when it comes to content. So do you have a brand slogan, a brand phrase? Is there a way that you describe your brand? And should it be in the email or not? Should you put it in there? Should you put it at the top? Should you put it at the bottom? Where should it be? Should it even be in there at all? Do you, within that email, talk about your brand, or do you talk about the product specifically? So you might be a brand, and this brand that I was working with was a big brand, and they had 3 or 4 different products. So do I talk about us as a brand? Do I talk about my products? Do I talk about 1 product or 2 products or 3 products per email? How many words should you use? I mentioned before, it's a fine line. You don't want to have 20,000 words in an email, but equally, you don't want it to have 10 or 20 words in there. You want to give the consumer enough that makes them think, I really want this product. I'm going to click on the link. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to sign up, whatever it is you're trying to get them to do. External links. So external links are great, but should you pepper your email with them? Do you want them to go away from the email to go and buy something? Clearly you do, because you'll put a buy link in there. But do we want lots of external links giving them more information? Do we want no external links giving them more information on the product? And what tone, what emotion do we want to strike? We really want to make sure that we capture people's hearts, capture their attention, and make them want to do something, make it emotive, make them think, I really want to do this now. And of course, a lot of that boils down to text analytics. And I'm sure quite a few people here have used text analytics before. If you've been to some of Mango's previous events or workshops, you'll probably have heard of tidy text here in the top left-hand corner. I actually use Sentiment R, which is in the bottom left-hand corner here for text analytics. Soz to all the people that have done the tidy text workshop. But tidy text is really good. I just choose to use Sentiment R. Reason being, and sorry there's no hex there, I do love hexes, but I have a massive box of hex stickers in this house, and I kid you not, my 5-year-old R obsessive has hidden them from me, and he will not tell me where they are, and it's really infuriating. So I have no R hex stickers, very sad. If you come to the next Brighton R, sorry, we can't give any hex stickers away. So my 5-year-old has all of them. But anyway, tidy text, if you've used it before, works on tokenizations. It's looking at individual words within a sentence, whereas Sentiment R looks at the whole sentence. So to give you an example, nice simple phrase. This is often what parents say on a Monday morning when the kids are being packed back off to school or nursery. I'm happy. And obviously in tidy text, that gets, yes, that's positive emotion. And in Sentiment R, that's positive sentiment. But let's think about a very similar sentence. Let's put the word not into it. I am not happy. Now, of course, if you use tidy text, depending on whether or not you see not as a stop word, this either becomes neutral or positive. So some people consider not to be a stop word, some people won't. But if you look at Sentiment R, which takes that sentence as a whole, it correctly classifies that this is negative sentiment. I am not happy. So that's why I prefer it. Tidy text is still brilliant. So don't go and ditch your tidy text packages now. But Sentiment R is just another option. There's always more than one way to skin a mango cat. The other thing that I use with Sentiment R is the emotion lexicon as well. So rather than just looking at, is this positive or negative, I analyze text to have a look at what emotions people will think of when they read a particular sentence, a particular phrase. And obviously with email marketing, we want to be striking joy and surprise and trust. We definitely don't want our emails to spark a lot of anger or disgust or even fear, because that's probably going to stop people from clicking on it. So it's quite important. I'll give you an example. An example which was, I believe this brand, it may have been one of the other brands that I worked on, but they had 2 phrases, goes back to maybe brand slogans, 2 phrases that they would often use. And they put some phrases into one email and some phrases into another. And phrase 1 was very much, we can help you. It's talking about how we can help you. And the second phrase they used a lot was, don't worry about this. We'll take care of it. Don't worry about something. Now, obviously, if we were in a room, I'd have a show of hands as to which one you thought was better. You can do your virtual shows of hands at home if you want. But in terms of which phrase got better engagement, the first phrase here, we can help you, that helping hand, it received twice as many clicks as the second phrase. So the click rate was twice as much as this don't worry email here. And what you're doing with saying we can help you manage with something is you're instilling this trust that goes back to that trust. People know that they can trust you as a brand. But the second you say don't worry, whilst you think you're being reassuring, there's nothing to worry about, don't worry. It's the use of this word worry that strikes that fear, that anticipation of what have I got to worry about? Do I have to worry? What should I be worrying about? Should I worry today? Should I worry tomorrow? And this is why choosing words really carefully is quite important, and why unpicking that with R using text analysis can really help you as a brand say, well, if we have two phrases, which one of these should we use? We now know this is the phrase we've got to have within all of our emails because we're disengaging people by saying, don't worry. I said word count was also a fine art. It's actually incredible. I've done this quite a few times, and quite often the curve looks like this. And it's kind of centered around 150, 160 words. That's not a lot to actually tell people about what you do. But if you use too few, if you use less than 150, if you're down here at say 100, that's not really enough to tell people about your brand and about your product. Whereas if you start going to sort of 200 and above, it starts to tail off. People start to become disengaged. There's too much for them to take in and understand. But what makes it worse as well is when you put the unsubscribe rate onto the same chart. So we've got the same blue line here, and the orange line here represents the proportion of clicks that were on the unsubscribe button. And you can clearly see here, again, I've seen this shape with a lot of brands now, that if you sort of just below 200, not only do the number of clicks start falling, but the clicks that you are getting, more of them are on the unsubscribe button. So you're getting fewer clicks, and most of those are people that are unsubscribing from your mailing list. So 200 is literally the limit of doom. If you're putting more than 200 words into your email marketing campaign, granted, do the analysis first, but I have rarely seen a brand put more than 200 words into an email marketing campaign and not see this relationship of click rate falling, unsubscribe rate rising. And how should you position the brand? So I spoke before, do you want to talk about the brand? Do you want to talk about the product? And in this case, people aren't buying your brand. People are buying your product. So they want to know, what does the product do and how does it benefit me? And I think when I looked at emails that focused on the brand versus emails that focused on the product, I believe that the click rates when people spoke about the product was 3 times higher, because you're telling them what the product's going to do and what the product's going to do for them. But be careful, because again, this is a theme I've seen in all email marketing analysis that I've done. If you've got multiple products, don't tell them about all of them in one email. So don't say, we've got product 1 and that does this, and there's product 2 that does this, and product 3 that does something else, because you confuse the consumer. You're increasing your word count as well. So you're going to make them more likely to unsubscribe. So focus on one product, one email. Tell them about that product. Why should they buy it? Give them an external link to your website to tell them about the product if you want, but only give them that one external link. Don't say, here are all of our products, and give them 3 or 4 links to look at, because I guarantee that will turn them off your email and you won't get the sales, you won't get the clicks. And again, I've seen that with multiple brands as well. So that's great, but that's kind of generic, right? What can we do? What can we do to make the campaign a bit better and a bit more engaging? Really, everyone's talking now about personalization. How can I make that content appealing to the exact individual that's sitting at the end of that email? And in this childcare example, most people got 10 emails over the course of a year. So you got roughly an email a month, let's say. You've got 10 emails here. Most people that clicked on an email, again, remember click rates are really low. So if somebody clicked on an email, they were only likely to click on one of those emails. Great. But what if that's the 8th email in the journey like it is here? So this red one here is the one they've clicked on. Why are we sending them these 7 emails beforehand? It's a bit annoying. It's a bit rubbish, right? We're sending emails that we know they're not going to click on because they're going to engage at this point. And so really what we want to do is we want to bring this red email here to the very front of the journey. We want them to click on the first email, because then they're engaged with us as a brand straight away. And guess what? If they're engaged with us straight away, they might click on subsequent emails. They might say, oh, I really like this product. I really like this brand. I'm going to click on other emails that they send me. And so we boost our click rate. And what we can then do is optimize the journey. We can say, well, we know they're going to click on the first 2 or 3 emails. They've got the information they need. Let's make this a 5-email journey rather than a 10-email journey. But how do we predict which email they're likely to click on? That's the difficult bit. And this is where a machine learning model came into play. So looking at the content of the emails, I kind of saw that you could split these emails into broadly 2 categories. Half of them were very informative. They told you about brands. They told you about the product. And half of them were very supportive. They offered just basically people that have had a nightmare weekend with the kids, just wanted a bit of support and reassurance. And then obviously there's products at the end that you can go and click on and buy. And naturally, that's 2 very different sorts of people. There are different demographics that sat within those as well. So you kind of saw that the supportive was much more, particularly in terms of the clicks, clicked on by a female demographic, whereas the informative ones clicked on by the male demographic. And again, that could be depending on kind of who's lumbered with the childcare duties, but you saw a very different demographic into the people that clicked on those 2 categories. So rather than trying to predict which one of 10, all we need to do is predict which one of 2. Do we send person A an informative or a supportive email? And so I mentioned we had a machine learning model. We looked at emails that have been clicked on in the past. So who clicked on it, what time of day, we put all of that into the email. And we built a machine learning model to look at or understand what the likelihood was of a consumer clicking on each individual email, so that we can send them the piece of information they're most likely to click on. Now, it wouldn't be a presentation without a lovely wow stat at the end. There it is. 90% of email clicks were predicted correctly. So we predicted, in terms of clicks, with 90% accuracy, whether or not to send each individual on the informative or on the supportive journey. So that's great. What did it do as a brand for this particular brand that I'm looking at? So before, these are some stats. Before optimization, as I said, if you go back to the beginning of the presentation, about 17.5% of individuals in the UK open an email. This brand wasn't much different, but after optimizing it, we pretty much doubled the email open rate. And again, similar with the click rate. In fact, we over doubled it on this particular case. So again, I think I mentioned at the beginning, it was 2.4%. This one was a bit lower, but their email click rate doubled after optimizing, after looking at the word count and what they put in about the products and how to use their phrasing. So even though that 3.76% is still low, you're still above the UK average, at double what you were previously. So looking at the text and understanding what sits behind that email is actually crucial to making the campaign more engaging. Now, of course, I can probably sit here and talk about it all day, and there's probably a lot more to talk about. I'm sure you've got some questions, but just to bring it all together. So email marketing is cheap, it's easy, but it's also very hard because people don't really click on emails, or people don't click on that many emails that they get. But you can use R to make it more amazing, so you can work out when the best time to send it is, when the best day of the week to send it is. And there's a lot to think about when it comes to the text. So what kind of emotion and sentiment do you want to strike? How should you use phrases? So if you've got a couple of brand phrases and slogans, should they or shouldn't they go in? Which ones should go in? How many words should you use? So just looking at that word count versus click rate and versus unsubscribe rate as well. How do you position your brand? Should you focus on the brand or on the product? In this case, and in most cases, talk about your product. They don't want to know about your brand, and I'm sure you've got great brand values, right? But they don't want to know about how many trees you planted to, save the UK climate. They want to know about what your product is going to do for them. And focus on one product at a time, and then personalize it. Machine learning models are great now. You can build some really powerful machine learning models really quickly and really easily in R. There's lots of packages out there to do them, particularly random forest models, which tend to be my favorite at the moment. And obviously the best way to create an amazing email is to use R, and I'll probably leave it there. If you do need some help or want to get in touch, there's various socials. Most of these are me. So as I say, Data Cove is my consultancy. There's about 3 of us now. You can get in touch through any of those platforms, look us up, follow us on Twitter. We do record YouTube videos. In fact, we have recorded a YouTube video about how much we love EARL. We give Mango a lot of free love. I just need to edit it and put it up. But anyway, I've probably ranted on for too long about emails. The cats are pretty much going to sleep, so I shall open the floor for questions.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. That was really interesting. I was just busily writing some notes to our marketing team saying, right, no emails over 150 words, which is great because I'd love to write a short and concise email. So this just backs up what my thinking was anyway.
I'm sure you can get the Mango data scientist to do some analysis on it as well.
This is what I'm thinking. We rarely have the time to do our own data analysis. So this is a good use case for this. So yeah, if anyone has any questions for Jeremy, please pop them into the Q&A tab. If not, maybe if you just want to flash back to your last slide, Jeremy, so people can just see how they can contact you and ask you any questions if they want to in the future, if they're feeling shy at the moment.
Yeah, you can find me in many places. Do connect on LinkedIn or on Twitter or whatever.
We have a question. Do you compose and style the emails in R or another platform?
That would be brilliant. I mean, it would be great if we could get from the point of let's put in all of the historical email text to then work out what we can do to compose it directly in R. Sadly not. That goes back to the CRM team. But I'd love to do that. I've spoken to quite a few email marketing people recently, actually. So I've got a lovely little co-working space in Brighton where I talk to people that do email marketing. And I think that would be a brilliant partnership to just kind of say, let's analyze it. Now let's compose it in R. Imagine that, R's writing your emails for you. Literally wouldn't have to get out of bed.
I think a lot of the time, emails, that there is a lot of time and attention spent on them, but I don't think people probably think about it as in depth as it needs to be about the time of day, how long, just focus it on one thing. I think often people kind of think, oh, we need to put as much information as we physically can into an email, and that's just not the best way of communicating to people.
Yeah. The other thing I would say about timing as well, check the rules in your CRM, because some CRMs have really funny rules that if you sent so somebody signs up at 3 o'clock in the morning because, obviously they're an insomniac, the CRM automatically thinks that 3 o'clock in the morning is their active time. So that if you push an email out to send at kind of best time for consumer, that person might receive it at 3 a.m. So check the settings in your CRM to make sure it is at the best time.
Okay, right. I think we have come to a natural end. Thank you again so much, Jeremy. I really appreciate you giving up your time and joining us this afternoon.
No problem. Glad to be here. Thank
you very much. Okay, so I am going to end the webinar in a second, but thank you so much for everyone for joining us today. I'm hopeful that we're going to do an in-person event in November or December, so keep an eye out on the Mango the Cat Twitter, sign up for the newsletter, and you can hear all the latest news that way. But yeah, thanks a lot everyone for joining us today. Short and sweet LondonR, but nice to see you all anyway. Cheers.